Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I kind of wanted to talk about the rebalancing between McCree and D.Va. Now, if you guys don't know, in a blue post around a few days ago, Blizzard stated that they were looking at and most likely going to change McCree and D.Va. The reason being is McCree is a little too strong right now, and D.Va is a little too weak right now. So I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on the opinion. I do agree, just before I start, I do agree that McCree is a little too strong and the fact that D.Va is a little too weak right now. You know, there's a couple other balancing issues I have with some of the other heroes, but D.Va and McCree are probably, you know, two of the most heroes that I think do need to be changed, whether because that they're too strong or too weak. And I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of suggestions of how to rebalance, say, you know, as an example, McCree, and some things I agree with and some things I don't. So I kind of wanted to give, like I said, my 2 cents on the matter, what I think should be done to McCree and to D.Va to make them, you know, the kind of the same balance-wise as the other heroes. Because I want this game, you know, I don't watch the most competitive games, but in a lot of the competitive games I've seen, you know, you got 2 McCrees. Like, it's just a thing that's in an extreme amount of games, and you don't really want that. We have 21 different heroes, and for a hero to be consistently picked twice, like having 2 on each team, so a lot of the time you're gonna have 4 in a game at any given time. Like, you know, of course there's give or take, you know, that's not always the case, but in a lot of the times that's what happens, and I don't think that necessarily is healthy for the game. Now, you know, when the game first came out in closed beta and there were tournaments, you know, there were a lot of little kind of what we considered cheesy strats, like, you know, say 2 Winstons at a time, and that had some, you know, merit to the reason why it was strong. But then people figured out, oh, Junkrat's a character, and Junkrat became, you know, picked a lot to counter Winston. And I really like that, you know, kind of meta idea. And I don't think we'll ever get to the point where, you know, I don't really follow League or Heroes of the Storm, but what I do follow is Dota 2. And in Dota 2, every, like, meta, there's, like, you know, several heroes that are really good and several heroes that are really bad. But the reason why is because there's, you know, an insane amount of heroes. And, you know, there's an insane amount of heroes in League and Heroes of the Storm, and I'm assuming it's the similar, but I can't really talk for those games because I don't follow them. But in Overwatch, we only have 21 heroes, and it doesn't feel right that, you know, a lot of the times there's only a certain amount of heroes being picked, like 6 or 7, and then there's a lot of heroes never being picked in competitive play. And I know there's a big difference between, you know, competitive play and just the normal, you know, casual play. As an example, Bastion, he's seen a little play in competitive, you know, with a lot of the times being accompanied with a Mercy and a Reinhardt, but he's not picked even remotely as much as he is in, like, more casual games of Overwatch. And, you know, it feels, in Dota 2, it definitely feels different. It feels whatever is really strong in Dota is going to be really strong in casual, and, you know, vice versa. But in Overwatch, I feel because it's an FPS and it's, you know, Dota 2 definitely has a higher skill ceiling, or skill, you know, to, like, barrier of entry. And so when you take all this time to learn the game, you're gonna know some basic things, and a lot of the times you'll be watching competitive games. But in Overwatch, because it's an FPS, you know, even the worst heroes are able to do very good in casual play, because of the fact that, you know, it's a shooter, and you can kill anyone relatively easy. And so yeah. First off, we can talk about McCree. McCree, so I've seen a lot of things about McCree. Some people say he's not, like, you know, a lot of people think that he's OP, you know, ridiculously OP, and, you know, we should nerf every single aspect of him. And a lot of people are like, you know, I understand he's a little strong, but I don't think we need to nerf him too hard. And a lot of people have been calling for a nerf on his flashbang. They're like, oh, the flashbang is what's irritating, it's what's causing all of these problems, and that's what needs to go, or that's what needs to get nerfed. And the Blizzard developers actually responded saying that the flashbang, that's not what they were looking at changing anyways, because McCree, his flashbang that's a vital part of his kit. Just like Mei is, useful for, countering flankers, McCree's great at countering lower health heroes like a Tracer. That just happens to be a flanker as well, and a lot of flankers have a little health pool. But McCree's supposed to be really, really great with low health people because of the fact that he flashbangs them, and then he can use his fan the hammer to kill off the entire opponent because they have little health. The problem is not only can McCree stun and insta-kill lower health heroes, but he can also stun, fan the hammer on a tank, then he can combat roll, fan the hammer again, and if that tank's not dead, then he can just fan the hammer again. And a lot of the time, you can't really contest that much if you're a tank because of the fact that you're getting flashed. Now, the flash doesn't last that long, but it lasts long enough for it to matter. But the flashbang itself isn't the reason why the tanks are dying as well. So I agree though, McCree shouldn't be able to 1v1 not only lower health heroes, but also tanks. He should not be able to do both of those. And part of his vital kit is the fact that he can, 1v1 a lot of lower health heroes. And like the Blizzard devs even said, the game isn't balanced around everyone being able to perfectly 1v1 each other. That's not what's supposed to be. There's supposed to actually be counters to people. And McCree is the counter to lower health heroes and flankers. But he shouldn't also be great against countering tanks. Now, some people have been saying, oh, we should just either make the flashbang duration last, or the stun duration last less, or make the cooldown higher. But the thing is that affects his ability to kill lower health heroes, which is what he's good at, what he's supposed to be good at. So if you say make the flashbang half the duration, then McCree's gonna have kind of a hard time killing the lower health heroes, and same for the cooldown of that. What the big problem with him, honestly, in my opinion, is the combat roll. The combat roll and fan the hammer, because the combat roll I feel might need 1 or 2 more seconds of a cooldown because of the fact that the combo that you can do with tanks, where you fan the hammer, you combat roll, you stun, fan the hammer, and if they're not dead, just fan the hammer again. Now, fan the hammer actually used to have a lot less I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when you fan the hammer as McCree, you kind of hold your gun over, or your hand over the gun for a little bit, and it used to be like, I want to say 0.25 seconds, and now it's 0.75 seconds, which actually matters a lot, because the longer it takes to go back into normal, just holding your gun after fan the hammer, the longer it takes, that's also the longer it is before you fan the hammer again. So the combat roll, the fact that it gets you behind a tank after you've already fan the hammered once, you get right behind them again with combat roll, fan the hammer, and that. So I feel like that maybe needs 1 or 2 more seconds of an increased cooldown. But I think the main thing is fan the hammer, and because if you increase the cooldown of fan the hammer, McCree should still be able to stun and fan the hammer a single low health target. That should still insta-kill a single low health target, which is what he's supposed to do. It can feel a little frustrating, but that's what he's supposed to do. But if you increase the fan the hammer cooldown, then that prevents him from being able to use it on a tank and then flashing them, use it again, combat roll, flash, or use the fan the hammer again. And so I think that's what mainly needs to happen, is just changing the actual fan the hammer cooldown. I don't think that it needs any more spread. I don't think it needs to be reduced damage. I don't think, really any of that, because the main problem is he's just able to kill off tanks just as well as he is lower health heroes. So if you increase the cooldown of that, he'll still be able to get the lower health heroes perfectly, but he won't be able to pick on tanks that much. Will he be able to do a lot of damage still? Yeah, but he's not going to be able to insta-kill them like he does now. And so that's kind of my ideas on McCree, and so I guess let's move on to D.Va. Now, D.Va, she just doesn't do enough damage. Now, I understand why she doesn't do a lot of damage, because imagine if she did do a, great amount of damage. She could fly into you, just hold left click for like 3 seconds, kill you, and just fly away. And that would be it. And she would be more annoying than McCree, because you couldn't do anything about it. You couldn't, try to kill her faster because of her health pool. You couldn't, try to, you couldn't have your teammates pick her off when she's trying to go away, because if she's running away, her headshot range, you can't even see that anymore. And she's already gone because she's ran away. But her damage right now is way too low. The only point I ever normally think it's a great idea to pick a D.Va is when they have a lot of low health heroes. Like, say they have a Tracer, or they have a Widowmaker or Hanzo that's, kind of, screwing around with your team. And what you do with D.Va is you literally just fly right in their faces and just start firing at them. And because if they fire back, if they're just going to stand right in front of you and fire back, you're going to kill them before they kill you because of your health pool. And also the fact that if you get killed, you actually just jump out. But that's in my opinion, the only way she feels effective is jumping literally 1 foot in front of the person that you're trying to attack. If you're just trying to kind of sit on a point and fire at people that are coming up to you, but they're kind of far away, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't have the accuracy to, it doesn't have the damage, and you're going to be getting hits. You'll be getting hit markers, but you're not going to be doing anything. And I don't know if you guys have played D.Va or played against a D.Va, but it's more like you're just kind of a little mosquito breathing on their necks if you're not right in front of them. You're a minor annoyance that needs to be dealt with eventually, but you're not really that important. They can go worry about killing your McCree and then your Mercy and then maybe focus you. You have no real threat to you unless you are directly in front of someone. And I feel like that needs to be changed a little bit. I think her self-destruct, although I think her self-destruct is a little underwhelming, I don't think that needs to be changed, but just because I don't know how much you can change about that. Maybe reduce the cooldown just a little, the actual charge it takes to get there, because at most, for me, in my games, it gets 1 kill. It rarely gets more than that. And most of the time, probably 90% of the time, it gets no kills, because the time it takes to blow up is, a little long. So you're just like, hey, everybody, it's an enemy, self-destruct. And you just run behind, line of sight. And get out of line of sight. And so it seems a little underwhelming. It's really good at, say you're on payload, you're trying to push the point. If you use it, you force the enemy team to get off of the payload or they'll die, which can buy your team, around 5 seconds, which can be enough. But I think it's a little underwhelming. But what mainly needs to happen to D.Va, in my opinion, is firstly increasing her accuracy with the fusion cannons and increasing the damage a little bit. Because a lot of the times, I've heard a lot of people say this as well on Reddit, I feel like I get more kills with D.Va when I'm outside of the mech than rather when I'm inside the mech. And that should not happen, because you shouldn't want to promote people to get their mech destroyed just so they can get kills as D.Va. I think she should still be kind of a more harassing tank, because she is a tank. We shouldn't buff up her damage to the point where she's able to, out-damage a lot of the offensive heroes. But she has way too little damage right now, and, so we can't give her too much damage, because then she will definitely be very, very frustrating to play against. But how little damage she has now, she needs a little bit more. It's a little ridiculous. Now, I do like the change they made a while ago where you still gain ultimate charge for self-destruct even when you're out of mech, gaining charge for being able to call down your mech. Because before, if you were having a hard time as D.Va, you would never get your ultimate because you'd always be charging up the ultimate to get your mech back. So that definitely helped her out a lot. But other than that, I don't think much needs to be changed for her. But that is a pretty big change, and they need to be careful how much they actually implement that if that's what they choose to change. Because if they give her too much accuracy and too much damage, she's going to be a better offensive hero than a lot of the offensive heroes. So I think she should still kind of be that harassing hero-ish, but I definitely think she needs to be considered a little bit more of a threat than what she is now, rather than being like, oh yeah, I'm being shot, I hear the hit sounds, but I'm barely losing any health. And yeah, so that's just kind of my little ramble on McCree and D.Va. If you guys have any other opinions or suggestions of how they should be balanced, or if they shouldn't be balanced at all, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear all of you guys' opinions on the matter. And if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more Overwatch content and news. And like always, guys, see you next time.